You know the phrase F around and find out, which is always like F around and find out, and it's like a threat. But here's flipping that F around and find out statement on its head. F around and find out. If you consistently pray to have God or whatever you consider a higher power to remove anything unholy from yourself, from your existence, from your behavior, from your thoughts. F around and find out what happens then. I was having a strange realization today. I went in the sauna for like a half hour, and then I go right into a cold shower, and I was doing deep breathing, like Wim Hof stuff. And I just had this vision or this feeling of like my limitations leaving. And it was it's not permanent, or maybe it is permanent, but it was like a glimpse of who I could be without negative programming. It was deep, and I was like thinking too, like, wow, I actually, it was so intense, and that I had to like go, am I on drugs? Because it was like, and then I realized, no, I'm not on drugs. I don't smoke weed. I don't microdose anymore. I don't really, I'm back on the coffee though. Oops. But I'd only do it before noon. So a little bit better. But, so that's a drug, but caffeine notwithstanding. It was like a drug experience, but it was deeper than that. And then I also had the realization, like, this is why microdosing and using drugs to get these kind of insights, it was just like a flash of an insight, isn't the way. That's what this insight told me, because then you will think it was the drug that gave it to you. And I was like, wow, that's crazy, because this just happened based on consistently practicing yoga. I was doing some yoga in the sauna, actually. I was in there alone, and I was having some like, whoa, and I've been practicing consistently for like 2 months now. And I think opening up energy fields. And then I also was like, hey, I should try to be a life coach, because there's aspects of my life which I'm not qualified to coach on, but there's aspects in my life that I am, and I could offer up those services. It was a trip, and basically, and whether or not I'll develop that as a potential thing to do, maybe I will, maybe I won't, but it was basically a message of, don't limit your own self-perception limits you, and you can be much more than you think. And F around and find out. If you keep praying, remove all the unholy blocks from my consciousness. It was awesome. It is awesome. It is awesome to go into your life like that, like a spiritual battle, and like really work on your spirit and really try to remove the negative programming and fear-based programming, and the self-harming, violent programming, limited perceptions about who you are and who you can be. Because our personality defines our personal reality, our vision of ourselves, what we think we deserve. All these things work. Shame works to limit you. And there's so many avenues for that in our world. And all the avenues or most of the avenues that destroy toxic shame and lead to self-empowerment are in some ways demonized, or, I don't know, cast as intolerant or whatever. There's definitely a war to keep us limited. And I feel like ours is a battle each day to F around and find out what happens when we decide to heal those limitations and work to become the greatest versions of ourselves. And I'm not saying, microdosing can help people. And if that's, certainly I had some benefits from it in the past. And I'm not saying psychedelic experiences can't sort of break bonds of certain kinds and can't and aren't beneficial. Of course they are, in my opinion. But to use it as a practice all the time, I think whatever insights you gain, just speaking from my own experience, in the back of my head I was like, oh, it's because of this. When in actual fact, there is a real God who loves you, a real spirit that does want to see you transcend your limitations. And so if you F around and find out what happens when you sincerely pray to remove all unholy things from your existence, and I'm primarily speaking about low level self-identity when I'm saying this right now, but it can obviously stretch across all walks of life. It's a trip. It's literally a trip. So F around and find out. Have a great day.